So welcome to our third and final meeting. Couple of things to kind of start off. I'm going to do a quick screen share here kind of with our agenda. And okay.
Oh, I see you.
Yep, should be. Coming out any second now. Okay. All right. Are we seeing me now?
Yeah.
In my screen?
Yes.
Are we seeing my screen yet?
Yeah, screen recording, blah, blah, blah. Communication.
So here.
Okay. I got it.
So everybody see the agenda then that I've got up?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. So of course there we go. A couple of things we're going to go over today really quick. Postseason qualifications, because that's coming up, the deadline. A new / old illegal pitch that is making the rounds again. I think someone is teaching this in training or something like that. And like every 4 or 5 years, they hope that we forget about it and think they can kind of sneak it. And so I got a video to show us of that. We're going to talk about pre-games, both of them. Pre-gaming with your partner beforehand. And the importance, we're also going to talk about the pre-game at the game itself. When you got the coaches, your partner, the captains, everybody there. Communication a little bit with coaches, something I call the 3 R's. I talked with Rick today and he brought up a good point. We'll go over first base calls from the C position and sort of the procedure for those when things kind of go sideways, and then we'll take any questions. So deadline for submitting all postseason requirements. And why is this not showing up like it's supposed to? There we go. Sorry. Like Shane said earlier, they changed some stuff with Zoom, and thankfully as a teacher, I have not had to be on it for a while, so I wasn't aware. Deadline for submitting is April 12th. All right. So, and don't wait till the 12th to get this stuff in. Do it early. This weekend would be a great time. This is for working postseason. For districts, you have to complete the current year's rules meeting. Now that should be done already anyway, because you're supposed to have that completed before you work any contests. In the past, remember, it was always, hey, if you didn't want to work in the districts or didn't want to work the playoffs, you didn't have to do it. Everybody's got to do it.
Now the districts are done by the assigner, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You also have to have officiated a minimum of 12 contests during the current season. So keep going in and updating your schedule on the MHSAA website. Right? They got it. It's become a lot better. The old days, I'm old enough to remember when I had to fax it in.
Yeah.
It's become a lot better. It's got drop down. It might take you just a little bit to get used to it, but like once you do, I like it way better than having to write everything out and all of that. If you want to be qualified for a regional, quarterfinal, a semi, or a final, you've got to have had 16 ratings over the previous 3 years. Make sure that when you're going to games, you're signing the book. I know a lot of it's electronic now, and so you don't have any place to sign it. The good news is that they should be able to log in directly through the website, because when you're an arbiter, it'll log them in directly with the website. and they can just do it. They get an email reminding them, hey, these officials need to be rated, and then they can just pull up the game and it will talk about it. I would give a sticker or a card or whatever it is again.
Ryan, sorry to interrupt. At our first meeting, I showed, and I'm trying to show it here on screen, but it's not really showing up. The page in then the MHSA website about the ratings cards, which I have printed out right here, and I showed everybody the first week. So I've been using those, and I just I split them in half and give one to each coach, and you're covered.
Yep. I mean, some of them still use an old school book, and if that's the case, I always sign that. But yeah, a lot of it now is electronic, especially with Game Changer, because they do it electronically, so everybody can follow along at home and things like that. You got to have a minimum of a 2.3 3-year average rating. Submit a season schedule and conflicts availability on the MHSA website. Again,
I don't know if you'd see it. That's what the page looks like. You just print it out. There's 2 sheets there.
Mm-hmm.
Go it out, hand it to each coach, and you're good at the meeting, coaches meeting.
Yep. And that's, it's kind of like football with that. Just make sure you get it to them. Make a bunch of those, leave them in your car. Put them in your ball bag. Just have them. Again, don't forget to submit the season schedule, and then also conflicts and availability. Go in there and what dates are you available? Are you not available? And then any conflicts that you have. The other thing is right now is while I'm doing this, I'm going to go ahead and show that quote unquote new old illegal pitch. Right. Can everybody see that video now?
Yep.
Pretty clear.
Okay. So this is an old video I have of it. I think Paul somehow sent this to me years ago, but I've gotten already a couple questions about this. And here we go. I'll show it again.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting.
Right?
It's hot.
Just so we're clear, it's illegal. Does anyone know why it is an illegal pitch?
Play it again, please.
Sure.
No separation.
Watch, because right, she releases it on the first throw through, and then she
Yep.
Because everything looks legal about it, it just looks like a funny looking pitch, right? Because
Yeah.
instead of getting the full wind, she releases it right away and then winds again. Anybody, any ideas why it's illegal?
Can't pass it twice.
Pretty close. So, right, your follow through, after you throw the pitch cannot go past your shoulder. And that's what you're going to have to tell the coach. Now, hopefully nobody sees this, or hopefully they ask you before the game. Again, I don't know why it's making the rounds again, but like I said, I've gotten a couple emails about it already.
That they've seen it? That they've seen it this year?
Yes.
Wow.
So the reason is it's illegal to follow through. It's an illegal follow through on it. And if you look at this is crazy that I remember this, but if you look at the rule, when it talks about the follow through about, okay, well, how much is too much follow through? How much is it literally in the rule book at the end of where it talks about that, at the end of the section, I'll put the section up here in a second. It specifically says that you cannot go past the shoulder twice. That is how much follow through you are allowed.
Can you show it again? Is it are you able to show it again now?
Yep. Give me 1 second.
Oh, she went past the shoulder twice. Is that what you're saying?
Okay, that's what I'm trying to. Oh, I see. Okay.
Right. So what she does is she releases it right away, right? Instead of getting the full wind that she's allowed to.
Yeah.
And then goes around with it, try and deceive the.
One more time.
Yep.
Okay, got it. I see it now.
Mhm.
I don't see it.
You
but
must
I'm
have
missing
better
it.
eyes than I do.
Well, it's like
I'm
it's like
missing
a
it.
change up, right? She's trying to throw it's a trick pitch, basically, right?
Yeah, so it's what it is. It's a trick pitch. So, if you watch, so you know what happens is, and she goes from the mitt, from the glove,
Yep.
and she releases it right away instead of getting the full wind and then releasing it. But after she releases it, she takes a full wind after.
Right. She's doing a wind up after the ball's already gone. There, the ball's gone, and then the wind.
Mm-hmm.
I see it now. Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
Now I
throwing
see
it,
it.
but now
Yeah.
she's still coming around.
Yeah. That's a trick pitch. That's deception.
Yep. And it specifically addresses this in the rules.
So would Brian, so this would be what would have replaced this basically this is basically like she's trying to throw a change up, right? But it's a trick pitch. But then the girls would just come off their hips, which is legal as a change up, right?
Right.
But this would be before that even. They used to do this. This goes back a ways.
Well, keep showing that. I'm still having, her hand passes her hip twice. Is that what you're saying?
Well, Joe, I don't know if you see her,
Watch.
it's I didn't see it at first either. It's
Going
like
too
ball
fast.
out, and then she continues her motion.
Right. So watch.
Ball's gone. Yeah, that's a trick. That's deceptive.
I'm looking at it on my phone. Maybe it's harder to see. I don't know.
It's probably a lot harder to see on your phone.
It
I
took me a
can't see
minute
it
on the
on the
computer,
iPad
but the
either,
ball is
so.
definitely gone, and then she's kept following through like it's a motion after the fact.
It's
Yep.
it's so fast you can't see it. I mean, live you probably would notice it, but on the screen you can't hardly see it.
Mm-hmm.
Show it a couple more times. Just
Yep.
oh, I finally saw it. Yeah. Okay.
You're better eyes than I have.
It took me a minute.
Yep. Yep.
That's pretty interesting. I can't see that. I've seen that in summer a couple times, but I've never seen it in high school.
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah. And I think what it is I think that, occasionally we see it, like, well, you'll see like a goofy, like several people doing something kind of different. I think that there was somebody, like a pitching trainer or who knows, somebody like, over the winter that was kind of teaching this. And maybe I'm wrong, but I've gotten like just for me to get 2 emails about it already.
Yeah.
And I sent both to make sure that it was correct. I sent both people. I sent both people, this video to like, hey, is this what you're talking about? Because they were trying to explain it to me, and they were both, yes, that's exactly what the person was doing. And so I was like, yes, that is, 100% illegal.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like she'd be able to get up enough velocity on that pitch. I think
I know
I don't-
that's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
see.
but the thing is, though, it's not about the velocity. It's about, you know what I mean? It's
deception.
a quick pitch. You're going to catch.
No, I know that part. It's just that you wonder in your head, how can she get enough on it to get to the plate for a strike or for a pitch?
well, the batter would certainly have time to adjust and cream that pitch. So I don't
So
think
how does the penalty work on that? It's just the ball, and if it
So it's
happens
an illegal
multiple times?
pitch.
Legal pitch. Yeah.
Yep. And it's just, if anybody asks, it's 614E. And it specifically says the pitcher continues to wind up the pitcher does not continue to wind up after taking the forward step, or after the ball is released.
She cannot continue to wind up.
Continuation of the windup is considered any action that after the ball is released causes the arm to continue to rotate past the shoulder.
That makes sense.
So again, I think Paul sent me this years ago, but he He had it. But again, just kind of beware. That's one of those things too that, we were talking about pregame. Obviously, when you get there and you're, there before the game starts with your partner, and they're still warming up, just kind of keep an eye out. If you happen to see that, that's a great time to address that, while they're warming up, off on the side there, or wherever. That's a great time to address that with a coach. Hey, coach, I saw that she's throwing this pitch. You are aware that that is an illegal pitch, correct? Prevent it from
What's
happening
the
before it
cadence
does.
for that? I'm sure it doesn't happen much at all.
No,
But
no,
if it continues to happen with the same team or player, what's the cadence for penalty?
Every time it happens, it's an illegal pitch.
Yep.
So it's a ball.
Okay, so it doesn't get to a point to where, like 2 or 3, boom, you're out there, or nothing like
Nope.
that.
If they want it, because here's the thing: when they throw an illegal pitch, the advantage completely goes to the offense. So, and we'll talk about that. On an illegal pitch, it's a delayed dead ball.
Right.
Left arm goes up. You call it a illegal pitch.
Hit a home run, you hit a home run.
Right. And so then if the ball's put into play or anything happens, it goes to the offense to decide,
Right.
hey, you know what? Yeah. You know what? She hit a single, she grounded out, but we scored 2 runs on that. We're going to take the result of the play. Or no, you know what? She grounded out and no one advanced. We're going to take the illegal pitch.
Yeah.
goes back.
Delayed dead ball, left arm out.
Yep. We had a ball to the count and we start over. We start over. So hey, if it was 2-2, throws an illegal pitch, the worst that can happen now is it's 3-2. And just kind of keep that in mind. So if they want to keep doing it, it's not like they can somehow gain an advantage over it. They're just going to keep penalizing themselves. So just kind of keep that in mind. And again, hopefully none of us have to see it this year. But
we'll see it once. If we see it once, that'll be enough.
Yep. Pre-games. We talked a little bit about it last time. And a couple of things with pre-games. You should pre-game twice. The first pre-game, remember, should be before you go out to the field, and you should pre-game with your partner, how you're going to cover things, how you want to do things. Hey, when they come to me, if I'm in the field, I always ask my partner, one of the things I always ask, no matter who it is, they come to me on a pulled foot. How do you want me to come to you? Do you want me to just, hey, point and ask, what do we want to do with it? What's exactly going to be our procedure here? And just kind of go over little things like that. Remind them, hey, I'll always be looking down there. I'll have, don't forget, I'll have the swipe tags on this. I'm going to, excuse me. Here's how we're going to handle situation, 1, 2, or 3. And even if you've worked with the person a lot, just kind of remind yourselves of that. Hey, one of the things I always do is, I let them know that, hey, I kind of give them on a infield fly ball. This isn't necessarily the proper mechanic, but one of the things I always talk to my partner about is, hey, look at, an infield fly ball, that's going to be you or whatever right away. I'm going to kind of give you, like just not like out there, and it's hard for me to show it, but I just kind of give you like up against my shirt, like a thumbs up, or I'll kind of give just like a point down about giving you what my opinion of it is. It's still, their call, but like, hey, I'm kind of just trying to help you out here of what I thought.
That should always be home plate umpire's call, right? And then as a base umpire, you're just pointing up, saying this is what I think I have, and
you know what? Yep, because there are times where you're there and you're just like, I'm 90% sure. Well, my partner's got me on that one too, and yep, we got an out. Or I'm 90% sure on that drop, and yet my partner's saying it was it was down the ground. Yep. I'm signaling, no catch. So, those are some things that you want to discuss, and it doesn't have to be a huge 20-minute long thing. Go over what you want to go over. Go over if one of you has been there before, and that it's there's some weird ground rules or there's some weird parts of the field. That's a great time to talk about that too. The example I always bring up with that one was, I mean, I don't think it's like that anymore. I haven't been there in a few years, but the old Birmingham, was it Seaholm that used to have like the goofy dugout with the cement right there that was exposed? There was always like 9 million, it felt like, dead balls. Remember, because it was like they had like the fences. It was Seaholm or Groves, one of the two. And I remember going out there the first time and I had no idea. You know, that's something that's a million years ago. But if you've been out here before, okay, nope. Okay, well, just so you know, there's a couple of weird things with the field here, or they've got this. It can even be something like if you go to Heartland, and it's your first time there. Hey, if I'm on home, I want somebody, and it's my first time there. I want somebody to remind me, hey, you know what? Bring both bags for sure. You're going to go through 9,000 balls there because they've got that pond off of right field. So just a
Or
little
at
thing
Adam,
like that.
or at Adams with the forest behind it.
Right. Just little
Yeah.
things like that. That's a great time to go over those. The other pregame is obviously the pregame, with the coaches, with the captains, with your partner. Couple of things with that. Number one, make it brief. All right. Don't fly through it to the point where it's not complete. But you know what? Don't be out there for 5, 6, 7 minutes. Make it brief. Hit your points. Collect the lineup cards. Make sure you verify them. You want to verify if it's a doubleheader, who's home both games or who's not. You want to verify anything about, no one likes to hear extra innings, but are they going to go to any type of tiebreaker? If it's sub-varsity, we talked about it. Like, hey, what are the time limits or what are the inning limits? Those type of things. And, the other thing that I always end up with too is I always tell the home field coach, hey, coach, it's your field, tell us about it. And this, boom, have them go over any ground rules. If you or the other coach at that point has any questions about ground rules, that's the time to do it. Make sure that everything's good to go and just, and get out of there. Don't let it turn into, because you've got some coaches, they'll want to discuss 9 million different things. What? Don't. Just get it up, get it going. I always said that, somewhere between 1 and 2 minutes was the ideal sort of time, depending upon how many ground rules there were and how much that coach had to actually go over. Much more than that. And you know what? There becomes so much talking. A lot of times you just kind of find yourself, I don't want to say getting yourself in trouble, but, it starts to wander into places that it doesn't need to, with both coaches and players and all that there. If a coach has got a question, about something that's not dealing with that meeting, let them ask you individually. Let them come up to you, after that. Let them, hey, coach, I've got a question about a lineup card here. I've got a question about, this. Do that.
I got a question. Want your opinion. Another association sent something out on a news article, and this thing dated back like 20 years, but it just turned into a lawsuit. So if there's a bat in the way, let's say runner going home, what do we want to do? What I typically try to do is, if I can, I try to just put it off to the side or ask the catcher to. But this association signer said, don't do anything. Just
Yeah,
don't do
I
it.
know. You know what? If I can interject here, I know exactly what you're referring to. And in the conversations then with 3 different associations, and the right thing to do is it's not your job in high school ball. I mean, that bat's sitting there, and if the catcher wants to kick it out of the way so she can get a better view. But I know of the lawsuit, somebody tried to throw it out of the way, and somebody stepped on it. Is that correct? I think that's what happened. Somebody stepped on it. They ended up getting sued. So, by mechanic or by the book, you're not supposed to touch. I get it. You want to try and kick it out of the way sometimes, to try and make everything better. But by the book, you should not touch that bat.
Mm-hmm. And that's, yeah. And it's biomechanic, don't. And because the other thing too is that, you know what, you're kind of interfering then with the play, because that bat is part of the field. It's
Right.
laying out there flat. Hey, it's part of the field right there. They've got to do it. And like Rick said, you can defend following the mechanic. That's defendable in court. When you alter from that, and do something, like when you throw it away or whatever, and someone gets hit or someone steps on it or something like that happens.
Right.
The question they're going to ask is, okay, why didn't you just look at, if you just had followed what you were supposed to do, this wouldn't have happened.
Right. And that leads into other things. I mean, I get it because I used to do the same thing. I'd kick the bat out of the way or whatever. And then this kind of thing was brought up. And, another situation similar to that would be, you're throwing the ball back to the pitcher and the pitcher's not looking and it hits her right square in the nose. Right. I mean, so you want to stay away from those kinds of things because it only has to happen once, something stupid or you didn't recognize, or, accident and everything else. And it comes back to bite you. So that's why they say by book, you're really not throwing the ball back to the pitcher and you're really not messing with anything that's in a live ball, that's live ball action, basically. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, I was thinking about one.
And then, I think that, again, we want to, because we want to get it out of there. Some of us want to, because, hey, like, we don't want that disaster. We're trying to avoid that disaster right at home plate. Correct. The reality though, is that, it's not up to us necessarily to avoid that disaster.
That's right.
Sometimes it's a car wreck and sometimes, it's a train wreck. Is the guy one of the guys that really, mentored me with umpiring said, hey, sometimes train wrecks are just going to happen and there's nothing we can do about it or should do about it, because
a good catcher will move the bat on her own, first of all.
Yep. Because if that train wreck's going to happen and we don't want to interfere with that train wreck, as much as that sounds bad to say, because then we become part of the train wreck, if that makes sense. And how would you feel? Here's the thing is, as a coach,
Here.
if that bat's laying in front of home plate 3 or 4 feet and my kid's going home and you know what, that ball rolls home and the catcher gets it and tags my kid out, I'm angry now, because you know what, why did the umpire aid the defense?
That's a fact. And you could have anything happen with that bat. The ball hits the bat, it goes out of play in the dugout. I mean, there's lots of things.
That's my thing, right? Why did you aid the defense? If you had to move that bat, that ball would have rolled in and hit the bat, and my girl would have never been out.
So following what you were saying, you shouldn't even say to the catcher, you might want to move that bat. You don't even say that, because that could be construed helping them also.
Could
So
be.
just keep your mouth shut.
Now,
right?
with sub-varsity, here's what I would say is with sub-varsity, that's a good conversation to have with a coach or even with a catcher, like between innings. Hey, catch, you might want to get that bat out of there. Hey, coach, you might want to talk to your catcher about, she's got to clear that bat. She doesn't necessarily have to, but that's something that they need to they're going to want to teach.
And Joe, you've always been good about reading what should be instructional and what shouldn't be instructional, and what you're dealing with in that day and all that stuff. But by the book, you're talking about what? High end. You're talking about high end. You're talking about varsity softball, high end for the most part, and trying to let it play out like it's supposed to play out.
Yep.
So, any questions about either of those? Any questions about that? Or that's a good point to bring up about
Yeah,
because especially
great
like
point.
lower levels, that bat's everywhere.
Great point.
Okay. The communication that I want to talk about, and it's something that I call the 3 R's. And that is, when a coach comes out, and this is, we can get ourselves as officials into a lot of trouble, kind of, with communication or lack thereof. I do the 3 R's. If a coach asks a reasonable question in a reasonable tone at a reasonable time. Now, notice I didn't say perfect. Notice I didn't say, like ideal. But if the 3 R's are there, if it's reasonable, they're not in the middle of the play out there yelling and screaming and doing all this. They wait till the play, blue, time. They might come out a little heated or whatever, but hey, it's reasonable, right? Hey, they're not yelling and screaming. They're not doing you know what? They came out and you know what? They're not, oh, Mr. Official, I was wondering if I could please ask you no, I mean, they don't need to do that. But again, if it meets those, if it's all reasonable, the big thing is they need an answer. Okay. They need an answer. The one thing that, you know what? Yes, there are certain things that we're not going to discuss, balls and strikes, things like that. And that's not a reasonable question then. But if a coach comes out and says, hey, Blue, why isn't that interference? They get an answer. Hey, Blue, why wasn't that obstruction on her? They get an answer. All right. They might not like the answer. We might not like the answer that we have to give them. Sometimes we got to say, you know what, coach, might have kicked that one. Right. But they get an answer. And the reason that happens is a couple fold. Number one, if they're willing to be reasonable, if they're willing to sort of do things the right way, we as officials then, I don't want to say need to reward that, but we need to, okay, they're doing things the right way, the way we would like them to do things. We need to honor that. Okay. Because if they're going to come out and they're going to do things the right way, they're going to, you know what, it's going to be reasonable. They're not going to be yelling and screaming. They're not going to be an idiot. They're not going to be all those things. And we don't honor that. We just, then, you know what, they have no incentive to stay reasonable, to not be an idiot. Okay. And there are people that'll disagree with me. Well, they should never be that way anyway. And they should never, and they're right. They shouldn't. But the reality is, hey, you know what? I called time. I went out. I asked a reasonable question. Hey, you know what? I thought it was a close play, about interference or obstruction. I simply asked for an explanation. Well, I got blown off, or I didn't get one, or I didn't, whether I liked it or not, I need something. Because if not, then you know what? Then the communication goes down the toilet. So they need that. And again, you know what? Hey, for those of you that don't know, I'm a varsity basketball coach. I've asked that question before, and I've gotten an answer from a guy that like, oh yeah, coach, you know what? We probably blew that one.
What are you doing?
Well, in some ways, that's the worst thing that can happen for me, because now I'm just shut up. I can't really, you know what? I can be upset about it, but now we're left on the fact that like I can't really argue what your interpretation was. I can't do it. And you're going to know, if you tell that to a coach, you're going to kind of know how they're going to be about things, about how they sort of handle that. Now, obviously, and again, let's be reasonable. Hey, if it's an important play and you say you might have blown it, yeah, they're going to be upset. And you need to understand that. You need to accept that. Now, does that mean they get to act like an idiot? No. But, does that mean that there could be some emotion coming out? Absolutely. You know what? If they're going to not yell, scream, obviously not doing the Billy Martin and things like that, again, what is reasonable at this point based on what's happening? And I just talking with coaches, that's their biggest thing is, hey, communicate with us, explain things. You know what? When a controversial play happens, I'm going to want an explanation. Maybe I agree with it. Maybe I don't. Maybe once you explain it to me, I'll be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But whatever it is, you need to communicate with the coaches.
One of the big things they talk about now, though, and in conjunction with that, is nobody wants to see the assistant coach come running on the field. Okay, so right, so that's part of it as well. The head coach needs to understand that, hey, you know what, in a professional manner, you're going to be talking. You know what, I will be happy to talk with the head coach, but in fact, I believe Andy says it in the rules meeting. If you see an assistant coach come running on that field for any reason, you need to address it immediately.
Now, the one exception,
we know who they are.
Mm-hmm. The one exception I'll say to that is a lot of times you have an assistant coach coaching first base, with the head coach coaching third base. And if you're in the C position, we'll talk about this, and they think there's a pulled foot. Again, as long as that first base coach calls time, say, Blue starts walking, you know what? I thought she pulled her foot. We asked. Absolutely. Let's not.
Yeah, right.
I mean?
That's you're right.
Let's not, be goofy. Well, I'm not talking to you, the head coach, the head coach.
No, you don't want to do that. That's not professional.
And again, you know what? Is it reasonable? Are they being reasonable? Hey, time, Blue. They kind of walk, hey, I thought she pulled her foot. Or, hey, Blue, we asked for help. The foot was, okay, yeah, no problem. Now they come out like an idiot, then yeah, then that's a totally separate thing. But again, the reasonableness of it.
Right.
So are there any questions about that? Okay. While we're on that subject then, and Rick and I were talking about this earlier, and that is, calls from the C position at first base. And that's something that you need to pregame with your partner about, how you want to handle those and those appeals. Cause as we all know, hey, that there's going to be appeals on that. There are going to be questions about pulled foot, about swipe tags, about all those things. By the book, by mechanics, who has that call right there on that throw to first is the field umpire. Now,
He might be out behind shortstop in the grass.
Yep. We would be lying if anybody on here said that they have had a good view on every one of those plays and that they've never been blocked out and been like, yeah, I got no idea. Right? Things happen, right? The shortstop boots it, the third base, even no matter how well you plan, no matter how well you prepare, hey, you're in the right position. Well, then, the shortstop boots it, the third baseman ends up picking it up, steps right in front of you and throws it. Okay. Here's the thing. If you don't see an out, they're safe. If you don't see an out, they're safe. Know that, hey, there are times when you might be making that safe call and knowing that, like, hey, as soon as I make that safe call, I'm going to start walking over because I know that the first base, I know that the coach is going to come out and ask me to ask for help and know that, like, hey, I'm going to ask for help. Okay. There have been times where me personally, I've made that call and been like, please God, ask for help. Right. I have no idea what hey, that girl she bobbled the ball. And so she, instead of taking one step to make the throw, she took 4 steps to make the throw and stepped right in front of me when that happened. Or, hey, it went down into the dirt and I have no idea if the girl, if the first baseman had it or not. So, hey, I made the call of what I saw. So, you almost want to be like, coach, will you please come on. I know my partner saw that better than I did. All right.
But you don't have to wait for them to appeal that. Can you call them safe and you say, Jesus, I don't know whether that was right or not. Yeah, I would look to my home plate umpire.
Here's my thought.
And hopefully they're gonna come out and say, let's talk.
I'm waiting for them because here's the thing. Here's the thing.
So,
here's why I wouldn't do that. Because let's say I call them safe. Okay. I don't see what happened. That girl, hey, she bobbles it. Instead of taking 1 step, right, she takes 3 steps, fires it. I don't see it, but hey, I didn't see an out. I call it safe. Nobody comes out to argue. Guess what? That coach thought it was safe. That coach thought that it was the right call. That coach, trust me, if they think you blew it, they're going to come out. And so,
can I give that quick example, Ryan? Do you mind?
Sure.
Okay, so we were talking about this today. It's 2-man system. We're doing a district, and it's up in the thumb, and I've got a close ball game. There's 2 outs, bases loaded. I'm in the C position, back in the grass. Okay, I've got a grounder in between first and second base there. Well, bases are loaded. The girls are coming in. Girls are all taking off. I can't get inside. First of all, the bases are crowded. Okay. I've got the shortstop coming up and she stands right in front of me. I don't know if this girl's 2 feet in front of the bag at first base or 2 feet beyond the bag at first base. And so I call her, I've got one option. I call her safe. Okay. And then I hear, oh, for 5 minutes, they booed me for 5 minutes. Okay. Which I was okay with because I knew I had an out. I knew I had an option here. So what happened was I waited. And finally the coach comes out and says, can you check that with your partner? And I said, I absolutely will check that with my partner. I was completely blocked on the play. And I went up and everybody went, oh no, she obviously was out. But if I'd have called her out, then I had no recourse at all. Okay. So that's why I did what I did. And it worked out. Now the coach that was down by a run, and I let the play continue, he came out and he knew he was professional and he knew, and I explained it to him. I said, we want to get it right. Okay. And he understood. He didn't like it, but he understood because he was an experienced coach. But I made sure I got her safe at first base and I couldn't see it at all. And, but like I said, it gave me the opportunity to, when she came out and asked me about it, I could go to the home plate umpire, and he waited like he's supposed to for me. And I went over there, we had a conversation, and we got it right in the end. So,
But
That's
you
why it
wouldn't,
was
as
done
a,
that way.
as a home plate umpire or as a umpire in a C position, where you said, Jesus, I didn't see that at all. So I called her
Right.
safe,
I-
okay? You wouldn't go look at your home plate umpire and say, come here, let's discuss this without,
if it's
unless,
that, if it,
unless the, wait a minute, let me finish.
Yeah,
Unless
sorry.
unless the coach said something, you wouldn't talk to the other umpire at all.
no, I really wouldn't, not at that level, because if it's that egregious, the coach is gonna come out. And I would expect the coach to come out, and I would want the coach to come out. But in that case, then I'm deciding, in my own interest, I guess you'd say, the decision on a part of a game. So that's up to them. They gotta come out and let me know what they want, and I'd be certainly happy to go ask my partner immediately. In fact, I might meet him halfway and go, I'm, glad he came out, so I'm gonna ask, But once you start doing that on your own, then you open yourself up to a bunch of other stuff.
I don't know. I mean,
What do you think, Ryan?
You're the
I'm
home
there with
plate-
you, Rick, because here's the thing. What if you were right? Like, we assume that when we're making that call that we're going to be wrong.
Right,
What if, hey, I make that call and you know what? Everybody clearly, but me, saw that girl jumped a foot off of the bag.
right.
Then
And,
there's
and
no
like in this
reason-
case, I'm completely blocked. I can't see, like I said, I don't know if she was 2 feet in front or 2 feet beyond. I'm completely blocked. So
And if
that's
you're
why
the
you
home
go
plate
with the safe
umpire,
call.
you're the home plate umpire and you're 110% sure the guy got your partner got it wrong. You're not going to say anything until the coach says something.
No, I would
You're
never, I would never
110%
step
sure.
on my partner like that. I would wait until he came to me in all cases.
Yep.
Yeah. I
No,
would,
I mean,
you know,
you wouldn't embarrass your partner. You would look at him and say,
Right.
yeah.
I would want it to follow proper procedure, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Mhm.
Coach comes out. Yes, coach, I'll ask. Go to your partner. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, she was definitely out. Okay, great. I have an out. And then in the end, the call is correct. I mean,
Okay.
that's the way it ended up working. And in the end, it was because of the way it was handled. Nobody went crazy.
To your to your point, Cruz, in my training, my trainer was emphatic about that. He wanted the proper process to be followed.
Right.
He said we can be backed up if we follow the process. He said if we don't follow the process, it leaves the door open for them to manipulate or whatever the case may be.
I agree with that.
I tried to do something and he wouldn't respond. And so I went to go talk to him about it, and he said, we need to follow the process. He said, I'm not giving any decision until you follow the process. Yep.
Because that is an appealable play. It's
Right.
they need to appeal it. They need to, because then, and you bring up the point about following the process, we can get ourselves into trouble. Wait a second here. Why are we appealing some plays automatically that are appealable, but we're not appealing other plays automatically?
The same thing with the foot off first base on a throwdown, right?
Yep.
Same thing. I want to be able to go to the home plate umpire on that, because you're a long way away from that. You can't see the other side of the base. All you can do is make your best guess judgment. And so, but again, you wouldn't just go, point to your plate umpire partner and say, hey, was it this? Was it that? It's got to follow the procedure.
Yep.
Even though I hope someday they change that mechanic, because the plate umpire is much closer to that than on a throw down or something like that at first base.
Oh yeah, the pickoff
Right
at
now,
first
the
base.
mechanic is from the C position.
Yep. Nope. The pickoff to first base when you're in the C, it can be a very difficult call to make. And yeah, I'm right there. Like, it would be much easier for me to just automatically point or just automatically defer to my, to the home plate umpire. But like you said, Abasi, follow the procedure. We have to follow the procedure. And that kind of covers us too. That like, hey, look at I made the call based on what I saw. We followed the procedure. We got it right.
Has this ever happened to any of you guys? I'm sure it has at some point, where you make a call and all of a sudden your partner comes out from nowhere and says, and he comes out to overturn your call without you asking him? I'm sure that's happened.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, that's just wrong. That's bad. That's bad mechanics.
Well, and
Oh, yeah, yeah, of course.
what happens then is that it you know, then they think coaches, we open it up to coaches thinking, now I could just go to this other guy right now and he's going to just, you know, overturn
Yeah.
and he's going to, you know, no. And not that we have to, and I hate to say put a united front up against the coaches because that's not what it is, but you've got to do things the proper way. You know, we all want to get the call correct, but you've got to go about it the right way. You know, the ends does not justify the means. You know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I will say I did have a call once that the field umpire made a call on a pickoff play, and the coach asked for help. I went to her and I told her that runner was clearly out. Without a doubt in my mind, she did not reverse her call.
Hmm.
So I just let it go.
Yep, and that's unfortunately, you know what, and that's just a bad. To be perfectly honest, that's something that's unacceptable as an official. You know, hey, we have to accept the fact that, like, hey, sometimes we don't. Well, we have the greatest view of things. Sometimes, hey, it's no different than, you know, even though it's our call. You know, I always say that, you know, it's like the ball hitting the batter. You know, it slams down, it comes right back up. You know, the home plate umpire is 2 feet away, but sometimes being 2 feet away, they have the worst view of that. So, you know,
Right.
you know, as the field umpire, right, we wait a second and then we make the, you know, and then okay, they clearly didn't see it. We're going to help them out here and kill it.
And here's something that happened to my partner who I work with, Al Diver. I don't know if you know him, but he's a excellent umpire. And he said he had a partner last week where the coach went out and asked his partner for an opinion on something. His partner came in to him and said, well, I'm not, even though Al had a different call, he was going to disagree with his partner. His partner came in and said, well, this is what I saw and I'm not changing it. And Al says, well, why did he come to me then? Just tell the coach, this is what I have, right? But now Al had something different, but the guy came to him and said, well, I'm not changing it. This is what I saw. Well, then don't come to me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Don't come to me if you want me, if you're going to ask me what I saw. And that's one of the things, again, with the pregame, I tell, hey, I'm going to be, you know, if I'm on the plate, yeah, I'm going to be watching down at first base. And if you come to me, I'm going to tell you the truth. You know, hey, whatever you ask me, I'm going to tell you the truth, you know, and I'll be honest. I mean, we've all worked with those guys and gals where, you know, they're on the plate and they'll tell you, like, hey, like, if they appeal a swing, don't you overturn what I say. It's like, well, no, don't, because I'm gonna only, you know, go up there that it was a swing if I'm 110% sure, but don't tell me not to give the truth. Then you tell them, like Rick said, you tell them not to come to,
Right,
you know,
because
you don't
it's
come to
kind
me.
of reverse throwing you under the bus.
It's 100% reverse, yes.
Right.
Because if in a situation where it's an appealable play and you appeal it and you get the correct call, okay, fine. You know what? Yeah, the one official did not see it. The other official did see it. They got together. They got the right call. When that happens and the call doesn't change, even though it should, like Rick says, you know what? That's now put you as the other official in a really bad spot, because the one official who's maybe was the primary on it, coaches can almost understand why they didn't see it, why they had trouble with it. Like, hey, they were blocked out. They had a bad angle and didn't see the ball pop out of the mitt really quick. They couldn't tell if the foot was pulled. You, on the other hand, as the other official, you clearly could have saw it. You had the best view in the park on that. And so, you know, again, that's something that needs to be discussed with pregame. Hey, you know what? If you don't want me to change the call, don't come to me and ask me what I saw.
That's exactly right. Or agree with you. I mean, or whatever. But yeah, but the second you say, you know, this is what I got, I'm not changing it, then it makes you both look bad.
Yep. So, kind of starting to roll up towards the end of it here. Are there any last minute questions, anything? Typically we've moved I know that with the weather, there hasn't really been many games, so I don't think much of anything has come up. I
was
know
glad the one gentleman brought up the bat issue. That was a good thing he brought up there, because that's definitely something that's going on right now.
but as far as I don't think, I know most games that I know of have been canceled, so I don't think there's been anything crazy so far yet this spring, but maybe there has. Any questions, anything that anybody needs us to go through or over? Again, if you have any questions, I'll put my information in there right now. And it's on the website as well. There's my number, and that's usually the easiest way to get a hold of me. Here's my email. And again, one last thing is because I know there's some new people here. The NFHS rules app. Again, you know what? I think it's either $5.99 or $6.99 per rule book per year. The app itself is free, but then you have to download the rule book, and it's good for a year. It automatically updates with, as the rules change. That's again a great tool. Because it allows you to do those keyword searches. There's no more.
Ryan, where do you find that?
So in the App Store.
Okay.
So go to the App Store, and the exact name is, hold on, let me give you, it's the NFHS Rules is what it's called. So NFHS Rules. The app is free, and then you just choose whichever rule books you want to download. You can do it for, I believe they have it for all of the NFHS rule books in there. I know they've got basketball. I know they've got football. I know they've got baseball, softball. They've got the case manuals as well for the case books.
There's another great group, if somebody gets a chance. It's on Facebook, and it's really kind of like it's National Federation of High School Umpires. It's a group, and I'm not promoting it, but I go on there, and they have questions every day from guys. Some of them are basic questions, and some of them are super high-end questions. There's some college officials there, and there's mostly high school officials, but I go on there every day, and I'll pick something out and try and believe me, I've learned stuff. It's called National NFHS Umpire Group, and it's softball. So if you get a chance, they're pretty cool there, and they definitely have a lot of questions and things that are going on each day. So that's some good training. I use it.
Mm-hmm. Because it's not the basic stuff that always gets you in trouble. It's that weird, crazy things, like I said, with that pitch, that you just you hope to not see. But unfortunately, whether unfortunately or fortunately you do see it.
You can't have an illegal pitch if you're not on the pitcher's plate.
So, all right. Any questions or anything?
Hey, Ryan, how we get credit for this meeting?
Put your name in the chat. Put your name and number in the chat. Name and your ID number in the chat.
I
Ryan,
don't know how to do that.
I'm sorry?
I don't see anything that says chat on mine.
At the bottom.
tap the bottom of your screen.
Nope,
Are you on your phone? Are you on your phone?
nope, I'm on an iPad.
And I'm the same. I don't see it at the bottom either.
Move your mouse over to,
How about where it says it says 17 participants? You click on that?
no, move your mouse over the,
You have no mouse on iPad.
okay, then tap on your Zoom screen. And
I
it should
did.
come- Okay, then
I
maximize
get
your,
mute, stop bot video, share contact.
Hit
Chat
more, hit more, hit more. Then chat should be the first one.
Yeah, okay.
Ryan, I sent you I
Yep, I got
mistyped
it.
I mistyped my
Okay.
first one. My last one for Joe Tillman is the correct one, 251.
Gotcha. Yep. Nope. You're all set.
Thank you.
I'm
Good
good,
job
Ryan.
on, good job on running the meeting. Thanks for your input, Rick.
Mhm.
No problem. Thank you, guys. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free, reach out, send a text, call, email. If I don't respond in email, like the within 24 hours, it may have ended up in spam. That's why I usually say that, a call or a text is the best. But yeah, and good luck to everybody. All right. Hopefully it looks like it's going to warm up, although I think it's going to rain for the next 2 days straight. So hopefully everything dries out and warms up. And on behalf of Bob, keep your arbiters up to date.
Thank you. Good.
Ryan, I'm all set, right?
Well run meeting.
Thank you. Have a good one, everybody.
All right.
All right.